right, it is 4 o'clock and we have a quorum, so I will call the August 22nd Architecture Review Board meeting to order. Steve, if you could please read the roll.
Yeah, could I take a look at this side, Joe? All right. Joe Clark.
Here.
Jerry Jones.
Here.
Dave Aldig.
Here.
And Zachary Rust.
Here.
All the others are not here right now.
Okay.
I know Bob Heimroll and Pam Langen said they would not be able to attend today.
Great, thank you. If everyone would then please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And any potential conflicts of interest for board members for the two items today? Hearing none, I'll move to item 4, the approval of the minutes from July 25th.
Move to approve as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Under discussion, Lene, I think there were some items that needed correcting. Item 1, the roll call wasn't Mayor Sorensen, at least not that I remember. And item 3, we didn't have committee member introductions. And then the adjournment, we have Dave Hoffman listed for the second, that I assume should have been Dave Aldag. If with those changes, we have a motion and a second, so as noted for changes, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Modified meeting minutes are approved. Thank you. Brings us to item number 5 under discussion items. Proposed construction of a new multi-tenant industrial warehouse at the southwest corner of Horizon Drive and South Business Drive. If that team is here, if you could come to the podium so that we can hear you, get you on camera. And if you can give us a brief description of what's being proposed, please.
Sure. My name is Dane Chekalinsky with NAI Pfefferly. I represent the ownership team on this one. Basically, essentially what's being proposed is about a year or so ago, a couple firms got together in northeastern Wisconsin and saw the complete lack of spec industrial growth in northern Wisconsin. There's been a lot of this type of development in the Kenosha, Racine, even south of Madison, kind of general corridors up from Illinois, but not too much in northeastern Wisconsin. The team started putting together some plans and is under construction with its first 100,000 square foot spec industrial building, light industrial warehouse building in Wrightstown. This would be a sister ship to that, essentially almost identical design here in Sheboygan. So what is being proposed is a 100,000 square foot warehouse / light industrial, designed in such a way that it could be split into approximately 30,000 square foot tenants, so up to 3 tenants within the facility in the new business center, with potential to expand the building another 100,000 square feet should the need arise. I think that's just the project at a very high level overview.
Great, thank you. Just a couple of questions from my end. Not seeing any mechanical systems indicated. Do you know what those are likely to be yet?
I do not, no.
Okay. Typically, if they're going to be rooftop units, those would need to be fully screened. If there are louvers, anything impacting the walls, we would want to see that. So if you could bring that back, at least for a staff review and approval, once you've got the mechanicals figured out.
Sure.
And then in your rendering of the southeast corner, you've got what looks like a dumpster enclosure with a vertical slat. Is that correct? Is that what that is, and what is that material?
I believe the dumpster enclosures, at least 2 out of the 3 are designed to be directly behind the building in between, they were kind of pictured in the elevation. You should be able to clearly see it on the southern elevation where two of the dumpster screenings are. Of course, this also assumes we're gonna have three separate tenants in the facility. So you can see those two, and then the third one, I believe, yes, is off at an angle behind the building to allow, obviously, dump trucks to be able to access it. You should be able to, yes, correct.
And I may have missed it, but I didn't see a material noted for that, the enclosures.
I don't have that with me, but obviously we would bank it out of a material similar to the building construction.
As in metal panel or the split face block?
I don't have specifics on that.
Okay.
We certainly happy to work with staff to come up with something that makes sense and fits the zoning code.
Super. And then my last comment was just a question at the corners where you've got the split face base, which I certainly appreciate, but it runs on the front facade, and when it gets to the sides, it just dies there. That's something that we've often asked for some sort of wrap, so that it's not just a single surface applied material. I know to the east, you're looking to do an expansion in the future, but to the west, that's sort of more visible to the public side of things. I don't know if you have thoughts for what we might be able to do to just wrap and better define the termination of that base material.
Essentially, I know we had submitted this design. Again, happy to work with staff if changes are needed, but we kept the one obviously off the east side wall due to the expansion wall nature. And the west side, simply, I guess, did our best to meet the code as written. So, again, happy to work with staff if that's a major concern.
I don't know if you'd want, with one of the conditions of approval, if we wanted to put something in there, and if they wanted to have that submitted to staff, and if we reviewed it, or otherwise, if we had some questions with it, we could bring it back like we've done in the past too.
Yeah, I would certainly be comfortable with that. Other thoughts on that from any of the other board members?
I have no problem with that.
Chad, I'm seeing an arm waving. Do you have thoughts to?
Icon?
No.
So the only thing that I would say on that west side is this building will be up against the water utility property, and the water utility property has a berm around their site. So I don't know, I think you would see a little bit around the corner, and I can agree with wrapping it around the corner, but to do the whole west side, I don't think you're gonna see much of that from the roadway with that berm around the water utility property that's directly to the west.
Thank you, Chad. Yeah, I agree. The whole west side, I wouldn't think would need it. Just looking for something to define that corner and terminate the material better rather than just being a single plane stuck on the front facade. So if we can potentially, in a motion, include something for that. So I think the items I was making note of, HVAC units or mechanical systems needing to come for staff review, dumpster enclosures needing to be submitted for staff review, and the split face base material somehow wrapping onto the west facade, again, coming back for staff review or getting kicked back to architecture review if needed.
Sounds good.
Make a motion to approve subject to those three additions.
I'll second the motion.
Well played. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? We're all clear on what was included there?
Correct.
Linnea, you got all those? Great. In that case, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is approved.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
All right, our next item is a conceptual discussion rather than actual submittal on the proposed Tidy Store addition at 810 North 14th Street. Steve, do you just want to give a quick background on what we're looking at and why and our scope for that?
Yeah, we've looked at Tidy Car a couple of times. We had a couple people from Quash's Construction here representing the owner today. We've been having some discussions in terms of materials and look, and we've kind of gone back and forth. And before they ended up doing final drawings, the thought was maybe we could bring it to the board for a conceptual discussion on those materials and the rooftop mechanicals and what we thought before they finished up their final elevations. And then this would likely be coming back here probably at the end of September agenda. So that was just one of the things that we had been talking about, and so that's what's before the board today.
Thank you. And always appreciate firms coming in with a pre-review, give us a chance to look and give feedback so you have time to adjust. If you could give a brief introduction as to who you guys are and what's being proposed, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm Lucas Kalen from Quash's Construction.
And Scott Berry, Quash's Construction as well.
So yeah, we've been talking with Steve and the rest of the staff about kind of going back and forth about some architectural changes, just based on the feedback from last time this was submitted in 2021. We came to a couple conclusions about exterior siding materials, as well as parapets and mechanical screening, which you can see on the elevations. And yeah, we were just kind of looking for some feedback, just to make sure we're headed in the right direction before an official submittal.
If I could one.
Steve, please.
So I think what they're doing is the addition itself that we're looking at is going to be a new kitchen addition. So right now, the area that I'm showing in the middle is the existing convenience store in the middle, and then the liquor store on the north end. The new addition would be to the south towards Wisconsin Avenue, and that's gonna be a kitchen, but they're also adding some space in the back of the unit. So what they're doing is utilizing a lot of the brick and metal in the front, so it all has a similar look to it, which is kind of what you see in the front here. So that addition's gonna be taking place right here. So the idea was to carry the brick and the metal on over in the front, and then on the Wisconsin Avenue side. So where that new addition is gonna be is in this area, and you can see some of the mechanicals. And then there will also be an addition that goes from the back of the building on the alley all the way, to the front of the new addition. And in their plans, they're showing that to have a brick base, similar to the brick in the front, but then an ephes material on the back. And then on the alley side, they were, which is facing Dulmus, it's not really visible that much. They were just gonna carry on the same metal that they had in that alley area. So really, we thought that the new front facade and the south were good. The questions come in terms of what people thought of the ephes on the back side, and then just how we handle the new and existing mechanicals on the roof.
And I know there were some kitchen hoods sticking up. It looks as if between the parapet and the screening, you've got all of that. Sightlines blocked at least from the front and side, not necessarily from the back. Looks if there is a row of trees along that back property line.
Yeah, we actually just stopped on site before this meeting, and where you can see the trees along the west property line, that's really gonna shield that, because all the equipment's gonna be on the far south side of the addition.
So all of the trees will remain? None of those?
Yeah, all those trees will remain, yep.
I guess a question from my end, the ephes on the back side, introducing a new material there, is that a lot less costly than the other materials you've got going?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, we would be open to a horizontal or a vertical panel to match what's on the building. We're definitely open to working with the staff on that.
Okay. I appreciate the metal or the brick base there, especially with the ephes, just to protect it from all the yard stuff happening there. But whether that's ephes or one of the metal materials, I don't know that I have a strong feeling there. It's fairly well hidden. It is somewhat visible to neighbors, so we want to make sure that it's still nice looking.
Do LP siding? I know Dalmas Decor has a little bit of LP siding next door.
I guess my concern was switching to a different material, since you've already got several materials going already. The ephes was new.
Yep.
So rather than go to LP, which is a different new material, if it could be one of the others, that would also deal with those corner transitions similar to the previous project.
Yep.
That transition at the corner is always just a little abrupt.
Yep.
If it's possible to then wrap the materials so that they make sense as they wrap the sides.
So you want just the metal pan, the horizontal metal panel to go across the back?
I think so.
Or since you've got the vertical on the Dulmus side, I would be okay with that wrapping along that.
Yeah, because you can see the vertical on the north side of the existing building where you can see that second story. That is vertical right now, so that might tie in well if we use that material on the back side as well.
So if you take that route, I just encourage you at wherever that back corner meets would that be the south corner? What that transition from vertical to horizontal is and how you treat that. Some of the other corners, you've wrapped it and had a sort of a pier element that I think was working well. Steve, I know the city had some concerns with just the finish on that horizontal metal siding on the front and some of the sort of puckering at the fasteners.
Yeah, I think we had talked about this a little bit, Lucas, was just, I think, how it got installed with the rivets and everything. And so that led to that, like, kind of bent metal
oil
look.
canning. Yeah.
So that was our concern there. So I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add on that, or if these guys had any comments on that.
So we just talked about using a heavier gauge metal for that. The way, when they kind of suck the screws in, it just kind of made it bent a little bit. You can see the oil canning. So just going to a higher gauge metal for the siding materials. Yep.
As long as you're taking that approach, the horizontal, I would be fine with, but if the vertical on the back is better, I would be fine with that too. I don't know how anyone else feels about any of those thoughts. And this is a discussion to throw your hat in the ring for.
No, I would agree. I just don't think the idea of introducing new materials appropriate here. There's a lot going on behind the building that wasn't going on before, so we definitely want to try to protect it as much as we can. But I think they've taken some steps to ensure that it's going to look fine. So I'm okay with just continuing that around the corner.
Great. One other item was, as I was looking at the Google images today, the existing rooftops over the lower southern portion of the building. I don't think those were getting changed with the last edition, so it was grandfather them in, but they are pretty visible. I don't know, since you're screening the new units, if there's potential to do something to screen those. I don't want to kill your budget, but that would be the time to ask, I guess.
Yeah.
Budget permitted, we can check on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be, we'd have to look into the roof framing there and see what exactly what existing is, but it's something to definitely consider.
I don't know if you'd even want.
But yeah, that's another thing too, is if you put screening up there, it's gonna be taller and even more visible yet. Just another thing to,
It's a pretty low profile roof.
Yeah, with it being as low as it is, even a prefab screening shroud around it. And those units may be small enough, you can even get the unit-mounted screens. David probably know all about that.
I think they should be screened. They're old and they're ugly.
Yeah, it's a tough one because they're not changing them.
Yeah.
Do we want to force them to do that, or is it just encouraging them that would be a good neighborly thing to do?
Yeah, I would say encourage. The only thing that when you do screen it, you have to just make sure that you maintain the service clearances, because otherwise you'll starve them for air and the coils will freeze up and that kind of thing, so.
Yeah, good points. Anything else anyone else was seeing on the drawings as they were being submitted?
I don't think that you're not showing the new stuff right now, right? The new mechanicals?
it's on the addition there. You can see the additional screening above the parapet yet.
Okay, I see it, yeah.
Yep.
So that's the parapet in the front.
Yep.
And the little doghouse toward the back.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Good. Any other questions or concerns from you guys? Things that you're wondering if we're going to frown on when it comes in next time?
Yeah.
No?
No, I guess the back, the west elevation was a big one we just wanted to get feedback on, and if that's what you guys would rather see is continue that corner with the siding, with the metal panel siding, we can definitely go that route. Because I know that's something that Steve and the staff talked about with us in our pre-development meeting, so.
No, I think that sounds good.
So
This is-
no issues with vertical or horizontal, let them come in and make that decision in terms of what they want, and would that include the base? Would that not include the base?
Yeah, that's a good question. With the ephes, that masonry base is definitely needed.
Yep.
If you're switching to the vertical metal that doesn't have the base around the corner, that one I'm a little torn, wanting to present a nice facade to the neighbors to the back, not have it feel too industrial. But at the same time, I don't know that it really needs a masonry base the whole way. So one concern with the vertical siding would just be how monolithic that ends up feeling. The ephes at least has the control joints in it that break it up a little bit. You've got the downspouts there.
Horizontal.
I'm sorry?
If we kept the masonry base and did horizontal on top of that.
Yeah, that would probably work well too, and then the downspouts break up the horizontals
Yep.
periodically. And then that particular transition from the horizontal metal siding over the brick base at the corner by Delmas, where it wraps the corner to the vertical, that's probably the least visible corner.
With the alleyway, yeah.
And maybe then that's dressing up the backside well enough that we just, that's,
Ended at the.
you gotta
Yeah.
change somewhere.
Yeah, yep.
That seems to me like a reasonable compromise.
Yes, I think so. Just a question for Steve before we entertain this next month. How have we done with cleaning up the property in general?
The site.
Not for these guys. that's
Yep,
not
yep,
their
the site has, been cleaned up quite a bit in terms of a lot of the signage and different things that were out and out on the site. There's been some landscaping, done at the house next door. So, I'll have a little bit more to say in terms of when it comes to Plan Commission, but they've done a good job in terms of getting it back up to speed and getting rid of a lot of the stuff that we didn't want to see previously.
Okay.
And I don't know if you have anything to add on that, but it's looking pretty good in terms
Yeah.
of maintaining it.
Yeah, we stopped over today. We've been kind of stopping there periodically since we met last. And Dave has been putting an emphasis on keeping the site clean. I think it was kind of a shock to him because the company he was hiring wasn't exactly holding up to their word. So
Yeah.
after that, I think this was,
Okay.
that was good for him to hear that from you guys.
Sure.
So,
Just to expound on that a little for our newer board members who haven't seen this project come through multiple times. One of the submittals, nice clean looking building, it seemed pretty straightforward, but when it got built, there were propane tanks and ice storage tanks and all sorts of things outside that really cluttered it and took away from the nice clean lines. So Steve, through discussions, has been trying to get that at least moved out from the front so it's not visually messing with the building.
Right, and Plan Commission had some things obviously to say on that and wanted the owner to take some time to get that all dealt with before he came back to us again. So he's been doing that.
Soda machines that weren't plugged in.
Yeah. Just clutter.
Yeah.
and there will be a new petroleum canopy being submitted with this project as well. So the canopy that is on site will be replaced, so. Yep.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming in to talk this through ahead of time. I think that helps to kind of smooth the whole process.
Yep.
Thanks for your time.
Excellent, thank you guys.
All right, thanks a lot.
Any other items for discussion today?
Nope.
Looks like our next meeting is scheduled tentatively for September 12th.
Correct.
And do We have stuff lined
Yes.
up for that, so great. In that case, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Dave Aldag. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, you guys.